we'll let him take over when he gets on, but we'll go ahead and get started. So without further ado, we'll ask for the Holy Spirit's guidance. So in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, amen. Holy Spirit, I ask of you the gift of wisdom for a better understanding of you and your divine perfection. I ask of you the gift of intellect for a better understanding of the essence of the mysteries of the Holy Faith. Give me the gift of knowledge so that I may know how to live in accordance with the principles of faith. Give me the gift of counsel so that in all things I can seek counsel from you and can always find it in you. Give me the gift of strength so that no fear or earthly motivations can take me away from you. Give me the gift of piety so that I can always serve your majesty. Give me the gift of fear so that no fear or earthly motivation should take me away from you. Through Christ our Lord, amen. Amen. In the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Blessed Father, McGivney, me pray for us. All righty. Let's see. Those of you who have not, and agenda, we've got our opening prayer. We'll do some. We'll after we come, we'll have our. We'll go through the available Supreme resources. We'll have a Q&A, wrap up, and will be. Put them in chat. I'm sure that. Later, you need to be paying attention to me. Let's Deputy. With a lot of virtual work, and that's part of the reason why I'm helping out Mike today. And get this done. All things about and here in the because quite frankly the sits with the Federation Forum. So if everybody would I'll call you and maybe how long you've been with the Knights and how long you've best. So
hey, you're breaking up. You can't understand half of what you're saying.
Computer.
Is everybody having trouble hearing me?
Yeah.
Yes.
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 That's not very nice.
Well, just keep talking now. You might be fixed it because you're having broken up since you started talking again.
Oh, okay. So this is working better. Okay, good.
Better with the headset. Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Well, hey, we got the prayer in. And now I can pick on people directly, which will be good. And I'll start since I'm still trying to kill a little time to get Finley on here. My name is Walt Pay. I'm the state advocate, and it is my role in this event today is to moderate. Professionally, I'm an instructional designer and technical trainer. And what I do in those roles is a lot of this. So we do online training. I build resources, point people to resources. So that's the day job. And actually, it's turning out to be a pretty fortuitous thing when we're able to do things like this. So what I'd like to do from here is I'm going to call on people. Please come off mute. Introduce yourself, what council you're with, how long you've been in a night, how long you've been in FS. And we will continue from there. So, Mr. Campanella, if you'd be kind enough to come off mute and tell people who you are.
Hi, Marty Campanella. I'm with Council 12951, Michigan City. I've been the FS for 5 years. I've also been a knight for 5 years. Got drafted immediately. I'm also now currently the district director, district deputy for District 6. And I found myself training some of the FSs in my district.
Excellent. Thank you, Marty. Next, we got Steve. Steve, over in the bottom left-hand corner is the mute button. If you would go ahead and hit that.
Oh, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, my name is Charles Stevens. Was Santa Rosario Council here in Indianapolis.
Yeah, we got.
And I've been a knight since 2009, and I've been the financial secretary for about the last 2.5 years. I'm a previous Grand Knight. So I'm anxious for the training because a lot of this training's at night when I work, so I get to miss out on it, but I'm grateful for this opportunity this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Mr. Pizzullo, if you would be kind enough.
Yeah, my name's Tony Pizzullo. I'm with Council 16398 in Paoli. I was Grand Knight of the council for 2 years. I am currently a program director and a 3-year trustee.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Mr. Hackert.
Council 7544 St. Benedict Cathedral. Been a member about 10 years. It's my first year as financial secretary and past Grand Knight.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Roger.
Name's Roger Picorni. I'm at Our Lady of the Greenwood, Council 6138. I've been a knight for 6 years and just recently took over as financial secretary July 1st.
Excellent. Thank you. David, is it Machuga? Did I say that right? Okay. Looks like he's kind of frozen out. So Bob?
Hi, my name is Bob Denton. I've been a knight for 40-some years. I belong to John Newman 6955 in Monticello, and I'm the financial secretary for about 5 months.
Excellent. Welcome aboard. Thank you. Eric.
Hi, my name's Eric. I'm with Council 5521 in South Bend, Indiana. I've been a knight for almost 30 years, but been active the last 9 years and just started the financial secretary role in July.
You're muted, Walter.
Five, is he the one that sent in about the cards?
Yeah, yeah, so go ahead and tell everybody who you are.
Okay.
No, not you. I'm sorry. Just so you're aware, Mike Finley is having technical difficulties. I'm talking to, I've got to be on the headset. He can't hear you. You can't hear him hardly. So I'm going to be bouncing back and forth on, oh, this is so much fun, trying to get this done. But, and I'm sorry, District Deputy 35, and I apologize for not, Greg, please
Yeah.
introduce yourself.
Yeah, this is Greg Broke here. I'm with District 35. I'm the district deputy. Been a night for 4 years. Just started district deputy and
Walt, is there any way that I could hear this?
2 months
No,
ago.
you've got to figure it out.
Hear what he's saying?
Sorry, gentlemen. Give me just a second. I'm going to go on mute. But Greg, please go ahead.
Can you hear me? I just lost audio. Again, my name is Greg Broke here. I'm district deputy at 35. Been a night for 4 years and just trying to learn as much as I can.
Okay, sorry about that. Henry, you're up.
My name's Henry Peters. I'm Financial Secretary, Council 4047 in Maryville. I've been a knight for 44 years, I believe. I'm just starting my 27th year as FS, and I'm a past president of the FS Association.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so the next person I've got here is, it's got your name, Navinci? Is that right?
It's Nevin Sequeira.
Oh, okay, well, it's, I apologize. I'll work on getting that and go.
I've been a knight for 10 plus years. I'm not sure how long. I've been as financial secretary for Council 17043 Little Flower in South Bend for about 5 years.
Oh, excellent. They're a really good council. They're a really good council. Well, thank you very much. And
Thank
your first
you.
name again is?
Nevin.
Nevin. Excellent. Welcome aboard, Nevin. Okay,
Thank
Joe, you're up.
Hi, this is Joe Gardner. I'm with Council 11044 in Carmel. And I've been a knight for about 5 years and financial secretary for about 1.5 years.
Excellent. All right, thanks a lot, Joe. Dwayne.
My name is Dwayne Waterman. I'm with Council 9460 in Fort Wayne. I've been a knight for over 12 years. Brand new grad knight, 1 month. So wish me luck.
Okay, we're going to wish you luck. I just wanted to let you know your audio was coming in, I guess, probably as bad as mine was at the beginning. So if you do have questions, make sure that you go ahead and pop that into the chat. Okay, and we'll be able to get that. Alrighty, Scott, you're up.
Hi, I'm Scott Shifley from St. Jude Council 16065 in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I've been a knight, I guess, going on 10 years and been financial secretary for 5. But I lost 2 years in the pandemic like everybody did, so the math is just kind of screwy.
Alrighty. Thank you very much. Mr. Riddleman.
Ray Littleman, I've been a knight for 10 years, current grand knight at 14862 Council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, 14862 in the Bright Lawrenceburg area. And I have been in there for 10 years, so I'm just trying to learn a little bit more about financial secretary. We're looking for one right now.
Excellent. All right. Well, hopefully we can help you get a little bit of that figured out. All right, Rich, you're coming to sit down. So let everybody know who you are. You're on mute.
Hello, I'm past Grand Knight at Council 861 St. Gabriel's in Connorsville. I just started as financial secretary July the 1st.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, other Rich. You're on mute. Other Rich, you're on mute. So if you go to the bottom right of your screen, you should see where it says you got a little microphone and a little video. Yep, nope, still can't hear you. So we'll have to let get that figure out. I'll look for you to come off of mute, and then we'll circle back around to you in a minute. Oh, there we go. Now you got it.
All right. My name is Rich Rawlinson. I'm a past advocate, past financial secretary. I'm current the Grand Knight of Council 9114, Nativity of Our Savior of Portage, Indiana. Hello and good morning, everyone.
There you go. Welcome aboard. All right, Mr. Machuga, do you think you can? We got you this time. Can you come off mute? Okay. Matt. Matt Melling.
Yeah, my name is Matt Mailing with St. Anthony of Padua Council 15777 in St. Anthony, Indiana. I've been with the Knights around 10 years and financial secretary about 5.
Excellent. Thank you. All righty. Bob Hanson. Okay, I'm not seeing that you've got how your audio is connected, so we may need to circle back around with you. So my favorite guys from Princeton, Indiana, Paulie and Gordon.
Here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, good. Hi, Paulie from Princeton, Indiana, financial secretary, just over 5 years, and Gordon Rogers, our Grand Knight, a couple of years as Grand Knight down here.
Excellent. Welcome aboard, gentlemen. Okay. Let's see. All right, Kevin.
Kevin Steinkuhl, Council 565 Evansville. And been serving 565 as financial secretary for a little over 2 years. Thank you.
Okay, and he's being a little modest. He's also a new district deputy down there. So, and they are continuing to really do a great job. So very proud of them. Mr. Mueller, Jeff Mueller.
Jeff Mueller, my
Mueller, sorry.
1265. I've been a Knight for about 5 years and financial secretary for about 2 months. So
excellent. Where's 1265?
Tipton, St. John's.
Tipton. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Thanks. Thanks, Jeff. And finally, we're going to end with Chris McGuire. Chris, are you there? Okay. Looks like we don't have that. Then David. Looks like David.
Could I say something, please?
Oh, yeah. Who's it? Yeah. Go
This
ahead.
is Tony Pizzullo with Council 16398.
Sure.
David Machuga is our new financial secretary.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why he can't speak, but anyway, he's been with us, with our council. He came from Las Vegas.
Oh, nice.
Been with our council for probably 2 or 3 years. I might be incorrect with that, but So he's new, and I just thought I would speak up for him.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. And he just sent a message say that he can only hear parts of the words, and the things that I'll tell you is we are recording this. So once we get started into the information, and quite frankly, I've killed enough time. We're gonna go ahead and move on. So Henry.
Hey, Walt.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, this is Josh Llewellyn. Just want to mention I'm here as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you snuck in. Well, welcome aboard. So let everybody know what council you're with and how long you've been in FS.
Yeah, Josh Llewellyn, Council 1172 in Tell City, Indiana. I've been a financial secretary for the last 3 years and a knight for 8.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. All right.
I'm also current president of the Financial Secretary Association.
Oh, there we go. Excellent. Okay, we got to talk. We got to talk, but that's okay. But thank you for being here. And quite frankly, this is part of the reason why we're here is to help put you guys together as a group, create some resources, create fraternity within the FS community, and really focus. Do the things that we need to do to focus our councils on the charitable good works rather than trying to figure out the dollars at times. So we'll continue to work through that. I'm going to ask Henry to come off, or is there anything else you needed to say, Josh?
No, that's it. I appreciate it. Thanks for putting this together.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. So I'm going to ask Henry to come off mute because he gets to help me. So we're going to have two talkers battling, which ought to be interesting for everybody, but I'm going to let him win because he knows more about this stuff than I do. So we're going to move on to, and I need to get to the share. I need to share my, actually I need to share my screen. That doesn't let me to see. Okay. So we're currently, you should be able to see my screen on knightsofcolumbus.org. Can everybody see that? I can get a thumbs up. Okay, good. So here's a couple of things that I'm going to show you really quick. There are two sets of resources that you have available. One is kind of externally facing where you don't have to sign in. The other is through officers online. And let me just check and make sure I have it logged out. Okay, good. I haven't. So let me do something real quick here. Now, is everybody, and I'm going to ask you to do this. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing because I need to see something.
No, we're on mute right now.
Okay. Alrighty. What I'd like to know is, has everybody successfully signed into Officers Online?
Yeah.
Okay. If you have not, what I'm going to ask you to do is just go ahead and make an entry into chat. Because one thing that we're going to be looking at as we go through, we're going to take a peek at member management. We might take a look at member billing. That depends on Henry. But the thing that, and just to let you know, I'm a member of, believe it or not, I'm a member of Council 451 in Fort Wayne. There's quite the story attached to that. I'm based out of Lebanon, Indiana. My original home council is St. Joe Council 13968 in Lebanon. But now I'm with 451 because we had to do a council merger last year and I helped get that along. And then eventually I'll get back home and we'll get that taken care of. But we're looking at them because that's my council. And so just to let you know where we're going to be taking a peek at them. And also they're a pretty well-run council. So from that standpoint, we'll be able to highlight some things as we go through. The other thing that we're going to be doing is, the first thing that we're going to be doing is taking a look at the external resources that are available. Now, while you're on your computer, you can, One thing that you can do, and I can show you how to do this, is if you can actually section out your screen to do a couple different things. So you can set pieces side by side, and if everybody's on a Windows machine, there's a Windows key in the lower left-hand corner. And with this, you can hit the Win key with the left arrow. It'll move your screen to the half. And then if you've got a web browser, you can move it to the right. Either way you want to do it, using the arrows, so the Win key and the left arrow, and then it'll have you select something. So you can put these side by side, and you'll be able to watch this part and then be able to see what's going on if you want to follow along with your web browser. The thing that I wanted to show you with this is, and I'm going to go to a widescreen so you'll be able to see it, is the 4 members. Okay, and then as we come down here, there's a couple neat places here that are really, really good for you. Fraternal operations. So as we go through here, forms, which is where you can go. These are council forms, so these look pretty familiar. Now, who is everybody aware that you can do your 185 and 365 online? Okay. So, and it's not this online either. Okay. Well, when they say the online is the preferred method, what they're doing is they're pushing you over to Officers Online. And then when you go to member management, under council administration, and I'll show you the resources that are available to this also. When you go click here on the council's officers, current and next, this is actually where you do the entry. This is the 185. If we go to the service program personnel, this one, this is the 365, and you can see that everybody here is current, right? So we can go in here and we can use this, and I'm not going to show you how to do it here because we've got a training video that you can look at, and I'll show you how to get to that. But you can do this. Now, the interesting thing, and I'm just going to put the bug in your ear for the next fraternal year. If you'll notice, there's next fraternal year. So as soon as you have your elections and your folks have been voted in, you can actually get them loaded in and ready to go. And then on July 1st, you're automatically done. Okay. So a little bit more on that. I'm just putting the bug in your ear. If you got questions, even, I know how to do this from my time as a Grand Knight. I'll be more than happy to walk anybody through it if it'll help. But that's a pretty neat piece. That's one less of paperwork that you have to fill out by hand, scan, and send in. You can do that right online. So do we have any questions about the 185 and 365?
Well, Walt, a quick note.
Yeah.
If you're doing next year, copy the current year. Otherwise, when you do your printout, the FS will not show.
That's not good. So, yeah, so this is the copy current year button. All right. And that's what that is right there. Okay,
Yeah.
So you'll be able to get to it from there. And then what's the council officers? If we go for the next fraternal year, it's right here, copy the current year. Okay, and when you hit that, you can see that I just hit the button and it populated everything. And then you can go individually and change them. So if I want to be, a trustee, I can put myself in here. Thought I could. Here we go. Okay, and I can assign myself as trustee. And you can see me as right there. I've just made the change, and then we would submit it. Okay, since we're in training, it's not going to do anything. And that was the other thing. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when you log into Officers Online and go to member management, you have 2 buttons. The one on the left is live, and the one on the right is training. So if you want to go practice this, go to training. Because I have a state trainer ID and Henry's got one too. So, if you've got questions, we can help you. We can actually walk alongside with what you're doing and see it as you do, see it as we go through. So we'll go from there. All right. Any other questions about that? Cool. officers. Fine. And then we're going to go. So here's the rest of the council forms. You guys should be pretty familiar with a lot of that. You know, the one thing that I have seen is that the FSs tend to drive a lot of the paperwork out of a council. And so, so this is the place to go for it. All right. So kind of backing up out of forms, supplies and merchandise. Does everybody do orders for your council? This just gives you you can either go to supplies online, Knight's gear, ceremonial supplies if you need them, and you don't need to worry about the 4th degree, right? But supplies online, that's where you would get your cards. Membership cards are in there, prayer cards, any membership drive information and kits are in there also. So we're not going to go into this in depth, but should you have questions about that, we'll be able to get you taken care of there. So is everybody good with that? Okay, excellent. So one other thing that I'm trying to do too, and here's the thing that I will tell you is if you do, again, I'm watching I'm looking at the.
Walter?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Rich.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
I flipped over to my officers online
Mhm.
and with my financial secretary access to look at the filling out the forms for the 365 and the 185 and the training, or not the live mode, but the training mode. There's
Right.
there's nothing there when I go to my training mode. I don't know why that is.
Oh, then I can't tell you. I don't know. That would be a Supreme question, like Monday morning call. But I tell you what, let's get this over with. And if you've got a few minutes, we could circle back around and take a look at a couple of things and see what I can do for you. Because I'd love to have a better idea of what's going on with that too. Alrighty, under fraternal operations, which is where you guys are probably going to live with some of the pieces. Now this is, and I'm going to walk you through this because typically the FS is probably going to have the most knowledge about where the resources are. So this is really important for especially brand new Grand Knights and brand new FSs in knowing where things are. So council meetings are guidelines, FAQs, and then they actually have a webinar about how to run a meeting. And then the protocol handbook, which is really good. It's kind of that higher level, giving you the hows and whys, and this is how you treat people when they come in. So it's actually the protocol handbook is I find it it's an excellent reference when you have a question about how things should really be running. From outside of, when they have the guidelines for meetings, it gives you the agenda and things. It kind of walks you through the gavels and gives you a little bit of Robert's Rules of Order. The protocol handbook will tell you, one thing that we're noticing is that in a lot of cases, there seems to be a lack of understanding of how people outside of the council are to be treated. Okay, and quite frankly, I'm going to say to this group, you guys are probably right where you need to be. But I've done some observations where there's just a question about how you treat somebody from the state. How do you treat your district deputy? And that protocol handbook is going to give you a lot of information on how to do those types of things. So just recommended reading for everybody. It sounds like somebody's got a question. Okay. Alrighty. We'll continue to move on. So the virtual operations piece is if you still want to do the virtual component to your meetings. And I can give you an example. Tomorrow, we're going to have, I'm actually helping a council that's, we're going to be putting into they're moving from a home corp situation to a parish. And we're actually going to put a virtual component in there for their meeting and make sure that we've got that taken care of. So this is all the information that you need on how to do that. The next thing we've got is probably the most important piece. This is where all the leadership guides are. Now, there is a financial secretary's guide, okay? But one thing that I'm going to point you to is the leadership resources. Okay, because if you go in, if you take a look at the financial secretary's guide, and we'll open that up, and we'll open up the leadership guide. In the financial secretary's piece, we, I hope a lot of you have seen this, but it just kind of runs through some questions briefly. In the leadership guide, when we come to the, you can see the financial secretary section runs, how many pages does that run? It runs the back half of the book, essentially. Okay, from page 28 to 39, and it has all kinds of great information in there for you. Okay, about how to, situations like you can see lost or stolen cards, processing receipts, how to do that in, sorry, come to officers online, yes. When we're a member billing, it shows you how to take care of a lot of that stuff. So you actually have some really good resources that'll help you with that. Okay, so this is just a, so this is a really good book for, the front part talks about, in the general section, talks about the different awards that are available. And especially the thing that council officers should focus on is the duties of the council officers. There seems to be an awful lot of questions about that. And this really, really lines it out. Okay, and then go ahead and take a look at the treasurer's, or the, I'm sorry, it was the financial secretary. You guys are on page 10, so let's go down there and take a look and see what you're supposed to do. Okay, financial secretary, you're appointed to a 3-year term. You got to do an application. You're bonded. You collect money in the form of dues from members. You're responsible for sending billing notices and initiating retention measures. You ensure that the council membership records are updated. Receive honorary life membership cards for distribution. You file various reports and membership insurance transactions. You're responsible for completing and submitting the IRS Form 990. Okay, that's an important part. We'll probably pull off and do a session on that by itself, because there's a lot of councils that are behind on that. And if I would really take a look at that, because that's one thing that not this fraternal year, by the next fraternal year, I'm working, one of the goals that I've got is that every council has their 990s filed on time or has an action plan to get that done. And then finally, you keep the seals for the council, right? So in this book, I can let you know, it doesn't really, that part just kind of gives you the brief overview. It's when we get to that page 28 down here. That this becomes your book, right? So you can see that there is a substantially greater amount of information to help you out with where you need to go, okay? Any questions about this particular resource right now? Okay, great. All right. So it's those two pieces. Here we order supplies. So they got fraternal training. Here's the other thing, and this is kind of tucked down in the bottom. We've got the fraternal training and webinars. This is a really, really great resource. And what you want to do, so you don't, it's, you got the fraternal training webinars, but it's the how-to videos that I think are far more important. So if we go into the how-to videos, okay, the big ones, here's, you've got member management and member billing. Okay, data extract tool, right? That's how, if somebody needs a mail list. So, my council here in Lebanon uses, what was the name of the company? The Knights. and I'm sorry, we use a different website. So one thing we have to do mailing, so when we're doing mailings through that, we actually have to do a data extract to get our roster set up correctly in the website to do that. We will pull that. The email tool, okay? I don't know how many of you know that you can actually send out emails through member management. That is one thing that I've been doing with my assembly. So I'm the FS or the FN, Faithful Navigator for my assembly. We've got a couple archaic emails that we're using, and so I just decided, this is supposed to be the most updated thing, and I send my emails as Faithful Navigator out of the email tool. It goes through, and then we've got other videos on how to set up new members for the billing period, transfers, handling transfers, receipts, check numbers on vouchers, generating dues assessments, and how do you set it up for the first time? Because I know that there's quite a few councils that do not have this set up, so that is there. It'll show you how to get that set up. So any questions so far? Okay, and what these are is they're short videos. This one's 7 minutes, that one's 5. You can, like if we go in here to look at this, okay. So the thing that you can do is, if you'll notice, I stopped it, and we can move here. It'll take me to that point if I stop it and wait a second, wait, didn't he say something about this? I can move back and then hit play. So this allows me to just kind of sit here and kind of scrub through it to make sure that we're doing a little bit of what's going to happen with this video. We're going to throw it out on YouTube, but you can move back and forth if you have any questions about this. So as we're going through and reviewing it, you can see that. Okay. Let's see, we've got the membership piece, okay, which is, believe it or not, you're going to get some questions about this, so it's really good to understand how things flow in, from the online piece, what the prospect tab is. Is everybody familiar with the prospect tab for membership? Okay, so once you see them hit in, you want to get them exemplified, and then that's how you bring them in. The candidate tab. Now, here's the interesting thing about the candidate tab. In lieu of using go ahead. Yeah, okay. In lieu of using Form 100, you can use the candidate tab. All right, so what you do is you just park in their name. There's some information that you got to park in. So let's say we got to transfer. I'm going to transfer into your council. Okay, you can take, I will let you take a picture of my card. It should have my information. I'll give you my email and phone number, and then you're able to go into the candidate tab, put my information in, and set me up. And then as soon as I'm populated in there, you can transfer me into your council. Okay, it's super easy to do it that way. So you can get it taken care of and run it that way. The best part of that, just to let you know, that so between the prospect tab and the candidate tab, and I'm sure Henry's going to back me up on this, because if he doesn't, I'm just going to hit the mute button really quick. But the best part of this is you don't have to type much. So in the old Form 100, you literally would have to interpret what they wrote and type it out, and you may miss something, or you didn't do it right. Here, you get it in. Supreme matches up their records, and then if it's a prospect, they've already vetted the email, they've already vetted the phone number, so all that information is coming in fresh and it works. On the candidate tab, they're pulling from the other council and bringing it in, or if they are a previous member, so we're activating a member like they've been inactive, it will match that up with their current membership information.
All right, you're unmuted. I've got earplugs in and over here, so grab the earplugs. Want something to drink?
Well, coffee would be fine. Right here.
Well, there's Mr. Finlay, but that's okay. We'll finish this up and we'll get her going. Hey, Mike, give me a couple minutes. I'm just going through some of the resources that are the online resources that are available, and then I'll turn it right over to you. So anyways, that's a little bit of the candidate tab, and that's my kind of promotion for it. It just makes your life a lot easier because it's, you know, we just put a little bit of information, hit a couple buttons, and then it populates into our rosters and we're good to go. All right, any other questions about that? Okay, and then like with officers online, it has the prospect and candidate tab. Yes, go ahead.
On that candidate tab, I'm a little mixed up between candidate and prospect about bringing in a new member from a new e-member. Could you expound on that, please? When you have an e-member,
right,
which tab would you use?
So the best way to look at it is, if it's part of, you know, they just signed up online and they want to join your council, they're a prospect, okay? Because they literally do not belong to a regular council. All right, so they're a prospect. So if you can remember those 3x5 cards, the prospect cards we used to use, that's literally what you've got going on here. With the exception that the people who are in there are actually knights. They've just not been exemplified, so they don't have any right to vote. They can attend council meetings, and I would say invite them in, but they're still prospects. On the candidate tab, you know, those are the people that you know, are knights or either silent knights or regular knights that need to transfer in.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, excellent. All right, any other questions about that? Okay, great. So those are a lot of the resources that we've got available. And so unless we've got any other questions, I'm going to turn this over to Mike, who is sitting in with Marty Campanella. And take it away, Mike. You're on mute. Bottom right-hand corner there.
Okay, gentlemen, what a day. I gotta throw a big thank you out to Marty here for coming up with this idea. I apologize 1000%, but the devil didn't get me totally. So the biggest thing is, and I don't know where you guys are at, and you know, please stop me if I'm wasting somebody's time. There are some resources that that Supreme has, and did you go through those, Walt?
I did. So just to get you caught up really quick, we talked about the 185 365 online. I walked them through. We got through forms, what I would call leadership resources, the books.
Okay.
And then we also covered the fraternal video library. So I think, you know, from that standpoint, we've kind of pointed people in those directions. We'll try and get the links out to everybody too, because sometimes it's not easy to get to that stuff.
Yes.
And you do have to spend some time, but just remember, it's in the form member section, right? So before you sign in, you have to hit that red button up at the top right-hand corner. So,
Yeah, and it would also be good to have these resources at your meetings. You know, we never know when we got a guy sitting there in the back room of the room who thinks that these jobs are overwhelming, which some of them are, but the situation is that maybe a guy's going to read it. You know, I've passed a couple of these guys out to, or a couple of these guides out to members, and they're really interested in them. It's like, whose job, you know, who's supposed to do this? Who's supposed to do that? And, you know, where can I go to find stuff? And often they come back to me if I see them at another meeting or something, and they'll say, hey, I was looking at that book, and, you know, it's really interesting, and, you know, we'll chat for a while. So I think we're planting a seed there for future officers. So one thing, you know, quickly share was I was down in Lafayette at a meeting, and one of the guys was struggling with accepting a position at an office, and they were going back and forth, and I asked him if I could interrupt, and I just took the resource and read exactly what that job would be for him. And he had no clue. Everybody said, oh, it's easy. And once he heard what the definition was, he jumped, yeah, I'll do it. So, it's just explaining stuff to guys in the proper way. And that's through, the resources that we have.
Very big. And it's got a snow background.
I have a snow background.
Well, yeah, what's that in the background there, Mike?
Oh, that's a picture of looks like Marty's outdoor off his front deck.
It's a virtual background, guys.
Okay. Yeah, but anyhow, question wise, did you guys, did you go over the new business cards? Or I'm not business cards, the new membership cards.
Did not.
Okay, I had a email come in and they wanted to know about our new cards that are coming out. You'll receive those cards and you will not have to sign them anymore. Nobody signs it the way I look at it. Patrick Kelly signed it, but the old ones will, yes, be obsolete. So just so you know, this year, starting, in the new calendar year, that's what we're going to be doing with business card or with membership cards. Any questions on that?
So we won't produce them? We won't produce the membership cards?
Can I interrupt a second? This is Joe. I did, because of John's yesterday, John Olson sent a memo to.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Mark, you're on. Yeah, there you go. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just asking, do we produce the correct cards now, or will they be mailing us membership for the cards when we get new nights?
All of your nights will receive those new cards for your next membership year. For
What about
23.
what about new nights during this current year?
Now, the council will still print the cards. They're just gonna change the formats in member billing. Where instead of showing the 3 signature lines, it's gonna have the Supreme Knight signature on it. You still have to print them.
Okay.
And eventually the manual cards will be changed also. That should come out sometime next week.
Okay.
Thank you, Henry. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. So do we need to order these cards or is this going to be an automatic mailing?
Are you using member billing to print your cards?
Well, yeah, the traditional, I use member billing to print these cards, but he said, well, ago that we're going to receive them. So
No,
the
they'll
question is,
change,
when
they'll
can I
change
order
automatically what prints on the blank cards when you print them.
So it's going to be the
They're
same
gonna change
stock.
inside member billing sometime next week.
So this is the same stock of cards, or do I need to order a new stock?
Yes, same stock cards.
Thank you.
Okay.
I tried to order cards for our council, but they are back ordered and have not been delivered yet. Is that something I should be more concerned about?
Again, they're in the process of changing the cards. So in a week or two, everything should probably be back up and running and they won't be back ordered anymore.
Okay, anybody else? Jump on in.
Do we throw out our old cards then? I'm not clear on that. Because if it's gonna have a Supreme signature and then 2 other lines.
No, you won't have those 2 other lines. And Henry, correct me if I'm wrong. Henry's our master when it comes to FSs. So my understanding is it will be a new card, no signature spot. And Patrick Kelly will be the only name on it.
That's correct. There will be no signature lines on the cards once they change them.
So it's
So the
like
the
everything
cards
else.
I have now, the
Yeah.
cards that I have now, throw them in the recycle bin.
Right.
So
Once you get the other stuff.
this is Jeff from 1265. I ordered some new cards recently and received the ones that you're talking about. They don't have, they just have Patrick Kelly's signature on them. And they have the lines and the either, so I ordered some third degree and some blanks. These cards came in like pads of paper.
Yeah.
These came in pads of paper. These are not printable on a printer. Are they changing that? Are we gonna have to fill out these by hand? Because they're not 8.5 by 11. They're not the blank, nothing on them sheets. They are hand fillable with Patrick Kelly's signature on them, printed on them.
On one of the last webinars, they said the target date for making these changes in member billing and in the supplies is October 15th, which is today. They're a little off schedule. If you try doing anything before today, yeah, yeah, Jeff, those are the manual cards that could be used also.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll have two sets of cards out there for a
But
while.
they'll still have the printable ones, the 4817s for member billing. They haven't changed what prints yet, but you can still use the old 4817s.
Okay. So we do not have to order anything that is different. It's just going to print out differently.
Correct, unless you want the manual cards like you just showed. You don't have to order anything different.
All right.
You just gotta
What
wait
about
for them to
fourth
change
degree?
member billing to do it the new way, which should be in the next week or so.
All right.
What about 4th degree cards?
Same thing.
I mean, mine just shows up in the mail.
Okay, everybody there? Okay, let me go through a couple of the questions I received. One was from a new financial secretary, Mr. Picorni, and he has a few questions. Number one, can you walk us through the steps in a dues billing cycle from first notice to intent to retain? How do you move each phase? Henrik, can you handle that?
Excuse me, I should have coughed before I unmuted. Well, for the first billing, I mean, you do assess dues. You know, when it comes time for the second notice, I believe there's a button, I believe it says change status. Hang on, let me see if I can pull it up. I'm sorry, guys, I'm working on it. I'm on a separate screen now. Okay, if you're in member billing and you've done the assessments, you've done your first bill, if you want to go to second notice, on the left-hand side, under assessments, enter assessments, it says assess dues. The next line says update status. If you click on that, it's gonna show you the grid of when you did your first notice and when your second notice is suggested to be done.
Henry,
The next,
Henry, if you could, I've gone ahead and made you host. So if you
All
could go ahead down at the bottom and hit the share and share your screen, and then everybody will be able to see what you're talking about.
No, did I do that right? On the left-hand side, it says update status. And it shows billing cycle schedule. And this is update billing status. Since I've already done second notice, it's going for the next status is night alert. You can put your as of date in. And then you click update billing status. And it's going to take everybody who's in second billing, second notice status to night alert. And then you do the same thing when the time comes for intent to retain. It's going to have updated the billing status to intent to retain because you've already done night alert. You pick your as of date, you click update status. Any questions
Okay.
on that?
So if you've got special assessments that are voluntary, it's my understanding that there's a field that you enter. If you enter that date in that field, the special assessments will automatically be written off after the second notice. Where's that field at?
That's on the assessment screen itself. When you say it's voluntary, there's a date on that screen itself. Let's see
Okay,
if I
can
can
you
get
show
that.
us?
I can try. Give me a second. Okay, and assess other. Are you still seeing this? Am I still sharing or not?
No.
How about now?
Yes, I got it.
Okay, other assessment. It shows dates apply, charge to. And on the right-hand side of the next one, it says assessment indicator is voluntary. You put a valid through date underneath that voluntary. That's where the date is, right under the assessment indicator of voluntary.
So when that date, so on October 15th, all of those assessments will essentially be written off for anybody who hasn't paid them. Is that correct?
That's my understanding. Honestly, I don't use it, so I can't say for sure.
Okay, that's the way it was explained to me. I just couldn't remember where that field was at.
Yeah, that's where the field is at on the assessment screen itself, yes.
Okay.
And again,
Thank
you
you.
want to watch your charge to, you got choices of billable or all members or regular, etc. Again, you're not supposed to assess honorary life, anything else, so I'm curious why it's there. But again, if it's voluntary, I guess that makes sense. You know, honestly, I use the regular, like if I'm gonna pass on the culture of life assessment to the members. That's when I use regular. I use all billable. Like we put $1 for SOS on our bills. And that's when I use all billable. So the $1 for SOS shows on the bill. They can pay it, they can not pay it. I don't make it voluntary. If they don't pay it, I just void the assessment before I post the payment. That's how I don't use voluntary. Because on an individual basis, I will just void the assessment before I apply their dues.
We actually quit doing the assessments for that, I think. Because now we're doing a golf outing, and all the money that we made on the golf outing, we gave to seminarians. It was about $7,000, which I didn't think was too bad for our little council.
Well, again, these assessments are for an individual. You know, if you had other receipts, et cetera, you wouldn't be doing that through the assessments, because that hits every individual member.
Okay, everybody's question and answer there. Roger, are you Roger Picorni?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, okay. All right, great. I got your list here. I think you just got answered. If a member pays more than the bill dues and special assessments, how is it entered with the dues collection tool? For example, annual dues are $40. A special assessment for SOS is included in the bill for $10. The member pays his dues with a check for $75 and requests the additional $25 be applied to SOS. And again, I go to all of you or Henry to, and Roger, have you had that answered yet, or?
No, that isn't, because under the dues collection tool, if you enter the, so you get to the person's name, and then you can check a box, and there's a field to enter the amount. So when you enter that amount, it automatically applies it to the dues. It doesn't allow you to, like if a member wants to pay an additional amount to support our seminarians, you can't do that under the collections tool. So how do you apply it there? The only way I've found is to do an adjustment. But I'm wondering if there's a better way.
Well, you could either do an adjustment, or what I normally do, if there's in my group, if there's any additional payments like that, I just do them as regular receipts. And then in the dues collection tool, I just put what's on the bill. You know, so if the bill was for $45 and they added another 25, I do a manual receipt for the 25 and I just show the 45 in the dues collection tool.
Okay, that was the two ways that I was thinking, that the only two ways I found to be able to do it.
That's the way I do it, the way he just said. Because if you don't, it really screws up, and everybody gets a negative balance, and it's just
correct.
Well, that would be a directed donation. So that would be a receipt that would go to whatever it is, SOS or Culture of Life. So you would just break up the payment. So that would be a very simple process. And I'm new, but that's what I would do. So
What I normally do is run it through the regular one. I run them all through. I actually stay away from that tool because it causes more headaches than it saves time. And I just get in a rhythm, and I use the regular one because I only got like 100 billable members. I don't know what size your council is. I just find it more convenient to stay away from that collections tool altogether, so I can maintain control of where everything's supposed to go.
Well, the dues collection tool is really handy if you had the ability to designate where the additional funds go to. But without that ability, I would agree with you, it creates problems.
There's a sub account line that you could enter these extra collections.
Are you asking if there's one?
No, there is.
Not on the collections tool.
Yes, there is. On this, the bottom portion of the screen has the collection tool. I mean, has a sub account.
Nevin, are you looking at that right now?
Just a minute. Yeah, it
Okay,
says
give me-
enter receipts, and then below it says enter sub account, and there's a split button where you can add a second line.
That's the receipts. That's not the collections tool. You're on the receipt screen.
Yes,
Yeah, that's a different screen.
okay.
Do we have that clarified?
Yeah, I'm clear. It sounds to me like you can't do anything different on the collections tool. You have to go through the receipts, which I'm good with that. I know how to handle it now. Keep doing what I'm doing.
Okay,
Keep on doing, keep on doing.
you know, go ahead. I
Hey,
must
wanna-
say at this point, you know, guys, I really appreciate all these guys coming together and sharing your knowledge. And I think we all learn from that. I've never been an FS, but I'm a trainer, and I really appreciate you guys jumping in here today. Okay, we got another one from Roger. Explain the difference between live and training buttons.
You went through that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yep, we covered that.
Everybody's good with that then. Great. What is the difference between prospects and candidates?
We've covered that too.
Have you been through that?
Yes.
Okay, and then how do they get to officers online? Have you been through that?
I guess well, my question there was, okay, I see names showing up in the prospects and candidates tab, but I don't know where did the information come from? How did it get there?
Walt, you want to go through that? That'd be with Ryan Gill,
Sure.
wouldn't it be sending that information?
Right, so there's two ways. So when somebody comes into your prospect tab, there's two ways that happens. Oh, good, I'm off mute. The first way is when somebody signs up and they designate a council. Okay, so it comes through, it asks them what parish, what council that they want to go through. So if you're with somebody and you're getting them to sign up online, go ahead and make sure that you got your membership number so you can put it in there. That's your proposer number. That's how you receive credit for them joining the order. The other thing that'll happen is you'll go ahead and put your council number in there. And then that's one way that it ends up on your prospect tab. The other way that it ends up on the prospect tab is if somebody joins and they don't put the right council number in, or they don't put a council number in, it'll end up in the general queue that's handled by the online membership chairman. He will go through and determine the best fit for the individual, and typically that's based on what parish they belong to. He'll determine the council number and then he will assign it. So those are the two ways that people end up in the prospect tab. In the candidate tab, that's typically generated by the FS or the Grand Knight, is my understanding. I could be totally wrong on that, but that's where that information comes from. And if anybody sees that differently, we can probably go through and get that checked out for certain in how that's handled.
Candidate tab is strictly a manual entry area for the individual council. If you have a candidate who doesn't want to go through Join Us or whatever, you can use the candidate to simulate the prospect tab. And then when he takes his degree, you can just put it in the candidate tab. You don't have to send a Form 100 to Supreme.
Okay, everybody got
Okay,
that?
well, yeah, so I mean, the reason I'm asking those questions is because when I took over July 1st and first got access to Officers Online, I had names in the prospect and candidate tabs. Some of them were 2 and 3 years old. And it's like, where did these names come from? And so I'm trying to go through, trying to figure out how they got here and how to clean it up so that we can take care of it and get some accurate record information. So thanks for the information.
Okay. Number 5 here would be, how should special assessments be paid? SOS, Gibraltar raffle tickets, directly to the organizations or the state council? From my standpoint, we have a new form coming out for you. Walter, correct me if I'm wrong. Mike Kovach is taking care of those, and you will see it here shortly. The form will tell you where you send the money. We will have directly to the state will be the Special Olympics, G-Bolt. Now you can do G-Bolt both ways. My understanding, again, Walter, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, let me jump in here real quick. So if we've got assessments, the preferred method of doing that is sending it to the state. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is, well, the biggest reason is we get to keep track of how much money is actually going to the organizations that we're supporting. The other thing that happens is it becomes a charitable donation at that point for the most part. Like with Gibraltar, it'll go through Charity Inc. And I know Gil's on, and he may be able to speak to that a little bit more. But typically, it's a lot about tracking. Okay, we want to make sure that we're keeping track of the dollars. I can let you know that there's a lot of. It does take a little bit of time to get those done because we're, at the end of the day, and you gentlemen understand this, we're volunteers. Things take a little bit longer when you have to cut a check. It goes to the state, and then we have a very thorough process that we go through to make sure that your donations are appropriately accounted for and sent to the right place. That takes time. So I just want to let everybody know, if you send a check today, it's going to take some time to get that done, to get it accounted for, and then get it either back to you so you can distribute it. So let's say it's the SOS piece. It does take a little bit to get that back, and but typically that goes. We're asking that goes through the state. There's no assessment that comes off of that. Everything that you're sending in will be credited right back to the council, and we're making sure that we're getting that taken care of as long as it's designated correctly on the form. And I'm speaking very generally right now too. So in the overall sense, that's where we're at with it. But go ahead. Yeah,
I'm sorry. My understanding is that on this new form, you'll be able to check a box designating where that money, there'll be a list of them, and you'll check the box, and it'll all be the same form that way, whether you're sending it to Special Olympics, to Gibraltar, just to clean up some of the paperwork we've been, going through. So
I can speak to that to let everybody know. We're going through a bit of a modernization process. And you guys are seeing that. I talked about constant contact a little bit earlier. We have it. Okay, I'm holding my breath as I say this, so if I pass out, you understand why. We're working diligently to try and have our website updated by Christmas. So, but we still haven't signed contracts yet, so we're working on that. We're also working diligently at streamlining forms so we don't have a million forms out there, but we're really trying to get them consolidated down. So like all this, what Mike's talking about with all the financial reporting, we're working towards, and I don't, it's one of those things that takes time to get it there, but we're working towards having a unified submission form. So whenever you're sending money to the state that needs to be accounted for charitable good work, we have a single form that'll identify that and get it in. So we're not dealing with 20 different forms. it's a challenge. I'm just going to let everybody know. It's a huge challenge to get that done. It's not what we've got so far is not perfect, so please be patient with us. Because the thing that I will tell you is we have a terrific group of guys that are working on this, that are focused on making everybody's lives easier so we can spend more time doing charitable good work and less time worried about the financial parts of it. And that's where your feedback is going to be critical. So from that standpoint, we'll continue to work on its work in progress. Feel free to give feedback. So between forms and myself, Mike,
Yes.
especially with the form submission piece, that'll help us out quite a bit. All right, back to you, Mike.
Great, thank you.
So if I understand correctly, then all charitable funds should go through state. Is that correct?
It is preferred that that's done. So here's kind of the deal that councils are 501c8s. Okay, fraternal organizations, they are not tax exempt. So when somebody makes a charitable donation, if they want it to be tax deductible, it needs to go through the state's Charity Inc. fund, which is a 501c3. It is the only authorized Knights of Columbus 501c3, or it's the only authorized Knights of Columbus 501c3 in Indiana. So it has to move through there. And then we actually have two funds that, but if we want it to be tax deductible, it needs to go through there. But then the other piece is the accounting that we're trying to do in all the statewide programming. So the culture of life pieces for the ultrasound initiative. We've got Save Our Seminarians. We've got the veterans for the military chaplains. And some of the, I think there's some honor flight pieces going. So typically what you would do is if it's those types of things, you can get a check cut that way through Charity Inc. They'll run it through. We'll get you the checks. Actually, I've got a stack here that I'm going to be signing and sending out because it's actually pretty cool on how we handle it because we got 3 signatures. So it's the state secretary, state treasurer, and state advocate. Or no, I'm sorry, it's the state deputy, the state treasurer, and the state advocate to handle those checks. So the money, we're paying close attention to what's going on there. Does that answer your question, Roger?
Well, I guess I got a follow-up question to that. So,
Sure.
So let's take Special Olympics, for example. So we participate in various events around the Indianapolis area, like the plane pull, polar plunge. Are those supposed to be running through state as well?
The preference is to do that because one thing that we've been experiencing is that we don't have a great way to track through Special Olympics. They do the best they can, but there has been an indication that we're off. We're like 5 figures off on what's being donated to Special Olympics through the Knights of Columbus and their subordinate councils. So what we're trying to do is tighten that down a little bit. So what ends up happening is if you've got a check that you want to cut to Special Olympics, you go ahead and write that to the state. It'll go through our process. We'll send you the checks back. Okay, so then it's accounted for and you've got the check to give them. It takes a little bit longer to get that done, but the accounting is handled. And so the 2 benefits to that are, one is that we are able at the end of the year, or the end of the fraternal year, or the end of the fiscal year for Special Olympics to be able to say, okay, we've tracked donations of X amount. The other thing about that is, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Suffice it to say, the big thing is we're keeping track of that. And then those numbers actually, how councils have to keep track of hours and dollars for the charitable good works that you do. Well, the state has to do that also. And so that tracks into our reporting. So we're able to make sure that we're accounting for that properly. And ultimately comes down to the appropriateness on the accounting. So, all right, does that
helps?
Answer?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
I got a
Rich.
question.
Rich, go ahead.
The same with the Tootsie Roll Fund?
Yes, it is the
Collections?
same. Yeah, please.
And when it comes back to us, are we bound by our $500 per check rule?
No.
Or we're not. Okay, that's what I was told. I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, no. So, if you do go into officers online and I'm gotta refresh it because I've been looking at that one an awful lot. There is a big difference between there's a huge difference between like general expenditures at $500 and then if you're doing essentially what's a pass through. Okay, and I will go back and look and let me write that down just to make sure. But that's I do not think that requires that. And then the other thing is if you've got a budgeted, the other thing about budgets is if you've got items over the amount, that would be another way to do that too. So if your council has a budget and you're typically running $10,000 in Tootsie Rolls, you just put that in and out. So you get 10,000 coming in, you got 10,000 going out. That counts that counts as informing the $500 rule, if that makes sense. And then the kind of the cool part about that is, especially with budgets, they're never accurate. As long as you're within the ballpark, they're never accurate. You have the line item for Tootsie Rolls in, Tootsie Rolls out, and you've got that covered. So that would be, that would be kind of a safety net on that.
Great. I appreciate your answer on that. Thank you very much.
Hey, we appreciate your question, Rich. That's just one more area that we don't always think of. And good job. All these questions are great, guys. We've got, let's see here. One of the other things that came through was, are we doing any handouts, downloadable resources? Walt's probably already said that this is being recorded and we're going to have it available to you as soon as Walt gets it out there, and we can always go back and look, oh yeah, we heard that back on the seminar that day. We can always go back to it and check out things. So I don't know if Walt had mentioned about this being ongoing. Talking with Scott Chudy yesterday, I had told him that I'd like to make this on a monthly basis, covering all topics, problems that Grand Knights would have, any questions out there. We want to try to get them into a category and basically have just an open discussion like we're having today. Everybody's got feedback, everybody's got questions. The thing with our Delta Drive and that, some of the guys don't know how to get to stuff on the internet. We're going to have Internet 101 to go tracing, finding out where all this stuff is at. We're going to have just anything. We're going to build this so that we're 2 months ahead of the Delta Drive. We're not going to wanting to do it the month that the Delta Drive is here. We want this to be a learning and teaching session so that everyone is preparing for the Delta Drive.
So Mike, if I can step in here real quick, and just to put a kind of a little finer point on what Mike's saying, he's given you a really great example, but the one thing that we are going to be looking at is, with these monthly meetings, it's going to be like what we're talking about right now, which is a roundtable, right? So we're just getting around the table and asking questions. But what Mike is actually referring to and using, a terrific example of Delta Drives, because that occurs twice a year, is that we'll be looking at seasonal topics and putting them out at least 60 days in advance so people are aware of that. So one, we're going to raise awareness of things. The other is we're going to provide a lot of resource in like, how do we get to it? How do we do it? So then, the great, so that was the only refinement that I wanted to add. So thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Walter. So guys, any more topics you'd like to discuss here? I think we've had a great session so far.
The question from Rich Frayne, what is a Delta Drive?
Okay.
Me too.
That's okay. Awesome. I mean, this is, we've been talking Delta Drive here. This is a form that John Olson created or a program. And if you go on to the Supreme website and just check out Delta Drive, it's basically a kit that's free from Supreme, and they will have they'll send that to you for free. It's free shipping also, and for no cost for the kit. We've got and it's being done during the our gosh, that just throws me, Rich. There's webinars that John does himself throughout the months, and so some of it could be repeat, but we just like here, guys. I thought everybody knew what a Delta Drive was. I thank you so much for saying that, because it's a program that we really need to look into. And if you go into your leaders resource and that, you'll see it explained there. It's basically a recruiting tool. It tells you step by step how to do a recruiting Sunday, basically, in your parish. You have the talks for those guys talking from the pulpit. You've got, if your priest won't let you do that, then here's how you do it. There's just got guys, you want 2 guys at every door heading out the doors so that they we can catch them. It's a great tool to have. It gives you the step-by-steps, like I said, and that's one thing that I like, that there's no questions really asked. And Marty, if you want to jump in there, I know you're
I'm a great believer in council shouldn't have to duplicate work that's already been done. And in my district here, District 6, we're doing 4 Delta Drives. And what we've done is prepare sample documents for each step of it. The document to go in the bulletin the week before, the document to go in the bulletin the week of, the instructions to people, what they need to do. And if anyone is interested in any of these, including we have a why we join membership brochure, I'd be happy to email them to you, just as I've emailed them to each of the 4 councils in my district. My email address, it's not Deb, because it's actually Marty Campanella, just as it's spelled out there, at gmail.com, or you can use the District 6 email, and I will forward to you some sample documents.
Okay. You
I have
bet,
a
Rick.
question.
Yes.
I know that the Grand Night and the financial secretary have access to officers online. For the past 2 years, I was the Grand Night, and the new Grand Night had some questions for me, and I no longer had access to officers online in order to be able to help him with some of the
Yes.
questions that he had about things that needed to be filed. So can anyone else, for example, I'm the program director, could I gain access to that site?
Walt, that stuff's changing. You want to jump in there on that?
Okay, I'm sorry. One more. I was reading through the chats. So your question is about resources?
No.
Okay.
The question is, how do we train somebody after we lose our access to online information? You're a past Grand Night.
And financial secretaries might have the same situation.
Yes.
My new financial secretary says, "Oh, can you help me this or help me that?" Well, he lives, 20 some miles from where I live, and is that access available to me also as a past financial secretary?
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's not. So there's a couple ways that we can handle this. One is, and I guess we'll have to, Mike, make a note of this because we'll just
Yep.
have to push this out that starting in May, if we know that and we'll try and put some reminders out there. If we know that there's going to be a transition, okay, we're going to be transitioning Grand Nights, we're going to be transitioning FSs. And we know that there's going to be a transition. It would be, and we have technically proficient individuals. That's the other thing that's going on that we're seeing quite a bit of. You're going to have to get in May and June timeframe, get together to show them things. Okay, this is so you literally going to have to sit down together, do a Zoom, not a Zoom meeting, but a Google Meet, and get on and show them what's going on. And then after that, once it switches over, I would really recommend that people get comfortable or as comfortable as you can using Google Meet, because then you can get on and share some information, so you can look at the same computer screen. I know Mike and I have done that quite a bit, and it can be challenging at times, but it's definitely a skill set. If you can get that, you should do it. The other thing that I would say is, that's probably a really good thing for, Mike to take a look at, making sure that, we've got a list. So, that would be something that would be very much appreciated if you would share that information with, like, okay, what do we need to cover with these new incoming FSs and Grand Nights? That would be really helpful. So like I said, starting in May, we're going to be starting talking about, well, actually what it would be is like February, March, we're going to be talking about elections. Okay. And then, in the April, May timeframe, we're going to start talking about the 185, 365, those types of things, just giving everybody a heads up and moving forward. But sending in the questions and helping us build out the topics to cover, I think is going to be essential in providing kind of like this broad base. And then we can really, I think we can develop a cohort where we can, really help each other out. As an example, Henry's been here helping us out substantially. So thank you very much, Henry. And we've been leaning on him quite a bit for quite a long time. So yeah, Scott, you've got. I'm sorry, I can see him here, and he's got his hands.
I was clapping in sign language.
Oh, okay. All right, good to know. Good to know.
Hey, Walter.
Sir.
So on the same, how can the past Grand Night or whatever help out the current guy? I haven't tried it recently, but in the past, I discovered that the current Grand Night can be signed on in two different places at the same time.
Oh, really?
So if you get him to give you his username and password, you can sign on as him and he can sign on as him.
Okay,
But yes, all the security guys cover your ears when I say that.
All right. As the state advocate, I need to let you know that's a no-no, and you shouldn't do that. Okay.
Well,
so,
you can
Henry-
suggest the Grand
Henry-
Night change his password after they're
Henry,
done.
It's good.
Right,
It's good.
it works,
It's good. It's good. No, it's all good. I just have to say that it's my legal prophylactic.
And we really need to figure this out a little bit better so that, we hear you, we hear the question, and we want to get to a better answer for you. That it's good with everybody. One way that I was sitting there thinking of is the fact that if you email me with any questions about anything, I will find you the answers. And that's part of my job, so that we can become a well-functioning machine. And that's what we can say at this point. We are going to be working day and night, as Walter and I both know, this job. So it's, it's again, we're starting, and we're not going to stop, guys. So.
Will you guys leading the meeting please send out your email addresses to everyone?
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to pop it in chat for you. And then actually, you've got my email address from the invite.
Yes, I do. I don't have Mike's though.
Okay, mine is just trainer@indianakfc.org.
that a
Okay,
live one?
Yeah.
Is that a live one? Well, it was last
It
time I
is.
checked.
It is. It was working this morning.
Oh, my. Yes.
Do you mind if I jump in real quick?
Go ahead.
Please.
Going along with that other sentiment, I've also noticed that the financial secretary has a lot of things that he has on his ability on Officers Online that the Grand Knight or really nobody has. And so when we lose our financial secretary for a couple months due to illness, membership things, everything would stall. Is there a way to give access to the Grand Knight or the Deputy Grand Knight, those options? So when a financial secretary is out on medical leave, they don't get everything stalled and they can have access to the membership portal to actually do stuff. Because I think that's a frustration too on some people, is that the only person that can access membership is that financial secretary at certain levels. And a lot of my struggles as DD is when a financial secretary asks me a question, I really can't go and see what he's talking about because I don't have access to it. Only he has access to it. So is there any way to expand access to different leadership abilities like the Grand Knight Deputy, maybe even the program director, to have access to those different functions that a financial secretary has?
Mike, let me go ahead and field that for him. So Greg, the thing that I can let you know is the security settings are the security settings. Okay. Quite frankly, that's something that, it's been asked for before and has not been approved. The thing that I can tell you currently in the state, there are 3 folks with what it's called the trainer role. So that would be Henry, Mike, and I. Since Henry is an FS, you can reach out to the 3 of us and see if we might be able to help that way. But that's going to be the way to be able to get in and take a look on how to get that taken care of. The other thing about it is, that we make recommendations on, it's IT security enhancements all the time to try and do that. They've expanded it quite a bit, and it is continuing. But at this point, I do not see the access that an FS has extending into anybody else's roles at this time, because it's not seen as prudent.
But again, Walt, the trainer can only get into member billing in training mode.
Correct.
I think he's looking for somebody else to be able to get into it in live mode.
One of the things, guys, that I've already dealt with is a FS just quitting. Said, I'm done, and he walks out. So what do you do then? What we did was contact Supreme. They will give you special access. They will give you, they're not gonna really just jump on this and say, oh yeah, no problem, because we really need to be running it through one of the the trainer or something to talk with Supreme. We'll get you whatever problem you have, again, we'll get it solved for you. They've worked with me before in the past on this, and it's worked out. It's never easy, but it works out. So that's my 2 cents on that.
I appreciate that. It helps to understand a little bit why, but it just, that was some of my questions, because it's hard to move forward when you got somebody who's key to it, and he's the only one to have access, is not either doing it or he's missing an action.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. I've been a past DD, and Walt can tell you that same stuff. I constantly argued with him about why we don't have access. And I've talked with Supreme, and, I think things have changed over the years I've been involved, that's for sure. And we have created that access a little bit better. But from I hear you and I feel it. So again, anything that I can help you with, please just ask me and we'll get her done for you.
Okay. And one other
yeah,
thing that I want to add, give me just a second, Henry. One other thing that I want to add. So Greg Roadfuhr is DD 35. He's down in New Albany. They have not had a DD for a very long time. So he has stepped up. Thank you very much for doing that. That being said, you know, he's going to be asking some of these questions that that quite frankly, I think are pretty awesome because they, you know, we're going to be faced with a lot of these things as we go along. Not every individual will hear, but it'll come up. And so as we keep these things in mind and look out for it, you know, any help that we can give him, you know, that would very much be appreciated. But again, please, you know, work through the resources that we're putting out there. And anyways, go ahead, Henry.
I was gonna say, just like as Mike said, the FS to quit, if you have an FS that's on extended medical leave, you can talk to Supreme about getting temporary access.
Yeah. Everybody, it's all special cases a lot of times, but we will be able to get you. If I don't know it, you know, Walter knows it, Scott knows it, Gills knows it, Bob knows it, you know, your officers. And always make sure you lean on them. That's their job to answer your question. So, and Henry is always available. So, any other questions, guys?
I just want to say, I think this has been really helpful. I like this format. You know, I've learned quite a bit. I would like to make sure that I could get a recording of this for our current financial secretary. He had some difficulties, so he has not been able to sit down and watch this session. But I think it would be great for him. So if somehow we can get that to him, I would really appreciate it.
That'd be great. I mean, that was one of the things when Walter and I were putting this together, was that we need to record it. You know, we so many times go to meetings, we take our notes and we look back at our notes and go, now what did that really mean? So, you know, we can go right back to it. We can hear the questions, and we will be building a resource library so that, you know, and every year we'll be improving on the stuff that we've discussed. But I've always felt, again, as a DD or a Grand Knight, it was like, you know, I just want to ask some questions and not feel, you know, that I'm holding things up, because it seems like everybody's on a schedule, which we are, but, you know, our thing is you can jump off at any time. Walt and I will stay with you all day and night if we need to, but it's, yeah, I appreciate the compliments and, you know, and the feedback today, guys. It's been a great group of guys jumping in here.
Hey, Mike, I have one last thing to show everybody, if you would indulge me. And this will be pretty quick, and I think this has to do with Rich's $500 question. I actually did look it up, okay, when I gave the information, I was correct. So when we go in, we're going to sign in. We're going to be in Officers Online. We're going to go to Officers Desk Reference. And then if we come down here, it's under financial issues. So you guys will be able to see this section 122B, the $500 rule. Okay. And then as we expand the section, okay, so section 122B applies only to funds that are held in the treasury of the council. To the extent that a council raises funds for a specific cause or recognized charity, an example being Special Olympics, the council may, by simple majority vote, and regardless of whether the donation is over $500, direct the funds to be paid directly to the current charity recipient. Okay, so Tootsie Rolls, flame pole, those types of things. If you raise, let's just say you raise $1,000, which puts us over the limit on the $500 rule. We receive that money in. It came from the flame pole. Okay, everybody paid up, came from the flame pole. We are going to donate that to Special Olympics. Okay, so what happens is then we just have a simple vote that the $1,000 will be sent to Special Olympics. The treasurer and the FS will get together. They'll write the check that goes up to the state council to get that $1,000 check written for Special Olympics. It is sent back and then that gets turned in, and we've got everybody accounted. Okay, does that help? So that information's there. And
Thank
go
you.
ahead. Yeah, the other thing that I will tell you is on a lot of this stuff, I'm pretty nerdy and I like reading through it, figuring things out. So if you got questions, ask me, because I just love sitting here trying to put that against like a regular, oh, what happens in a council and how does that work? So the $500 rule is going to be a very big focus going forward. So please let your Grand Knights know, let your Grand Knights and your leadership know that budget is king here. And that, you know, the district deputies, you know, will be doing audits. They'll be looking for expenditures over $500 and be looking for either the budget or the accompanying process that goes along with writing something for $500.01. So just want to throw that out for everybody. But thank you.
I have
And
one-
back to you. Oh, go ahead.
I
Yeah,
have
Rich.
one question. Past records, check stubs, that
Mm-hmm.
receipts, raffle tickets. How long, tax records, how long do these items need to be kept before they can be shredded? Can
So-
anybody fill me in on that?
Yeah, I actually I can, because I did look into that. I've been looking into it for the state.
Great.
It is Supreme ultimately recommends that you know, if you're working with an accountant, that you go to your accountant and get their recommendation at a minimum 7 years, and with up to 10. So it just depends on the accounting laws of your state. We will, you know, like Indiana, the state family will probably be looking at a 10-year retention on our records.
Great,
So
thank you very
that's-
much.
But that's what it is, and it is in Officers Online, so you can take a peek at it there.
Okay, great. Walt, you want to take that down?
Oh, sorry. Well, no, I like being the center of attention.
Yeah, I know, you always do. Let's not go there. Don't go there, Mike. Walter and I have a different type relationship. So.
It's all good.
Yes, I don't know, did you talk about Scott at all today? Scott
I
Schiff-
did, yeah,
Did you?
but you can say what you'd like to do. Oh,
Scott-
and go ahead.
Scott wanted to make sure, when we had our conversation yesterday, that I explained, you know, that he wished he could be here with us today. But as he gets busy, he has to be on a similar type situation with Supreme. They had a scheduled meeting this morning. And so he's definitely working. And again, officers put in a lot of hours. If you don't believe it, just try to get a hold of one of them, and they will get back to you. But you know, again, I know them guys being up at 1 o'clock in the morning, still working on stuff. So,
Or driving home from someplace.
yes, or driving home. And but you know, I'm really proud of the job that they're doing. Being on the inside to be able to see some of that stuff is kind of amazing. And those are the types of things that every person in the organization needs to know. It's, you know, it's like, it's not this, you know, sit back and everybody's doing everything for you. Everyone is working in this organization. So that's, you know, that's my spiel. He was going to try to jump on today if he could get off of that for a little bit, but he just wanted to make sure you guys know he's with you in thought, and he's probably got some of the same questions that you guys brought up here today, trying to get answered and worked out with Supreme. So we're always, whenever I send something to Scott, you know, for a question, he then goes to the regional director, and I have, you know, access to the regional director. I have access to the state regional director for leadership, and we have the resources. It's just we're all volunteers and it takes time. Walter, he talked earlier about those checks. To get a check through this is amazing. You have to, these guys are mailing the checks to each other for signatures. And, it's like the mail, it could take you forever to get through the mail. So be patient is all I'm saying. As FSs, please stand up for the guys and say it takes time. I can't believe now I was one of those guys that said, man, why is it taking so long? Well, now that I know all the steps involved, I can really say, I can't believe they get it done this fast. So, we all have lives. And, the thing, something else, we need to come together as brothers. I know brothers argue and fight and everything else, but, we need to really, sit down and be Christ for each other. He wouldn't be sitting there yelling at anybody, but it is so eye-opening when you get into a position like I have. And I just want to share that with you guys so that that it's not all fun and games up here at this point. So, or their point.
Hey, Mike, this is Gil.
Yes, Gil.
Hey, Mike. Hey, I tried joining on my other laptop here, but I'm actually on the Supreme conference call thing, and I've been trying to listen to your guys because yours is a lot more interesting than what I'm listening to. But no, I wanted to say the same thing on some of that stuff with the mailing of the checks and that. One of the issues I'm coming into, state secretary with all the per capita, is I got guys that aren't mailing the checks to the right place. Or I even actually just received from Scott, they mailed a check to Scott. A council mailed a per capita check to Scott, and the check is made out to per capita. So guys, just follow the directions on the invoices and mail it to the address at top, which is my address, and make sure that the check's made out to Indiana State Council or Indiana State Council for our general account. And also make sure you're sending it to the right people, because I've actually had a number of FSs that are throwing a fit because their check hasn't been cashed within 2 to 3 weeks. And first of all, you got to mail it to the right place, and it can take a week to 2 weeks for the mail to get it to us. Then I need about a week or so to process it and get it into the system. And then I actually have to send that over to our state treasurer then for him to cross-check it, because just like in the council, we have the FS and treasurer as a check and balance on that. Same thing for the state. The checks come into me for this, for the general account stuff, and then I have to send it to Bob Zielinski, our state treasurer, for the verification that he deposits and stuff. So it can take 3 weeks to a month easily. So don't be impatient. And I know Walt does the same thing. The checks for the charity stuff come into Bob Zielinski, our state treasurer, and then he has to process them, and then he has to get them to Walt for the check and balance on that. So yeah, there's a lot behind the scenes that a lot of guys don't understand, and we're trying to get the information to them. But of course, as officers change positions at the local council level, a lot of times this stuff isn't passed on. So I'm trying to get the information out there. Like Mike was saying, don't be impatient. It does take time to process this, and we are all volunteers too. So we have jobs, family, everything else we have to take care of too. So but be patient. But yeah, the best thing to do is call and ask questions. I've had a number of the FSs that call me, and at times they feel like they're bothering me or that. I said, no. I'd rather have you call, because it saves me time down the road having to straighten stuff out if it's made out improperly. And I've actually got a check that came in that has no information on it. It's the guy's personal check, and it's for per capita, but he has no invoice number, no sheet with it, or council number, or anything. Make sure your council numbers are on the check, because it's going to take me several hours to try to track this down as far as where this guy's from and what council. So, guys, I know I sound like I harp on that at all our state meetings, but you got to do it, because it saves all of us time, and it saves you from calling asking why your check wasn't deposited yet. So, but that's all I had on that. So,
all right.
I'll
Thanks,
turn it
Gil.
back over to you. Thank you
All
guys
right,
for your
thanks.
patience and listening.
Yep. Hey, one other thing there that Gil just mentioned, and I've heard this for years now. We still have guys out there who do not have their Knights of Columbus checks labeled Knights of Columbus with their information on it. Guys, I know it costs money to do all that stuff, but again, spread the word that this is really vital to everybody. It just makes everything run smoother. You know, Gil may now spend hours trying to search this down. And as most of us know, time is important, and we could be doing something else to make life easier. So let's all just kind of spread the word, and please spread the word about these webinars. Hopefully we'll crash the system the next time, but and I guarantee you I'll be ready next time. It just, you know, again, it's everybody jumping in and seeing that we're trying. So if
So
any
we
more
got,
questions?
I think we got one more comment coming in from Marty about liability.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been covered, but if your council does not have liability insurance, Supreme has worked out a deal in which it's got a very good policy that'll cost about $2.20 a paying member plus $35. And let's remember, we're in the most litigious society in the world, and somebody can get sued over too hot of a cup of coffee. And that somebody is you because you're an officer. So if the council doesn't have the insurance, check out what you can do.
And that's
that,
through Lockton
that
Affinity.
amount, that $250 per member is only for regular dues paying members. You subtract out the honorary members, the inactive members, the disability members. So it really becomes a very low amount when you start going through Lockton for the liability insurance.
And that's another topic that we could cover in the future in more detail.
Perfect.
Pardon me, with the liability, are we not covered under our church?
No.
No.
You're not.
No.
I just presumed that.
People will argue
this
that.
is Gil, I had a council years ago that thought they were covered under that, and they were getting sued. And the priest at the church said, "Oh no, you're having your event here. We cover you on that." One of the things that you'll find out is each church is owned by the diocese, and even though a priest said that it's okay, it's not okay because the diocese will not back you on that insurance, and your local council is the one that's going to be getting sued, as well as the officers in that of that council. So no, you have
Please
to have
send
your
me
separate insurance.
information
Yeah,
on that, please. Where did we go to get that?
the Lockton Affinity. It's
Yeah.
it's in the officer's desk reference at the Supreme website online there.
And I'll work on trying to find you a link to the article and get that out to you. Okay.
Yeah, the biggest thing is even if your priest says, "Oh no, you got you covered," no, you're not. The diocese does not cover you on that
So
because the diocese owns churches.
if we don't do this, but if we served alcohol at an event, or we're working an event that served alcohol and we're, just peripherally involved,
Scott,
would that cover that or? Sorry.
Scott, there's a distinction. This is Marty Campanella. There's a distinction as to whether or not you're charging for the alcohol. The policy you can get through Supreme will cover you if the alcohol is not charged for. But as soon as you charge for the alcohol, then you're going to need both a state license and separate dram shop insurance.
And I think we
We're
need a
talking,
security
we're
guy
talking
there
basic
too.
liability insurance, not liquor liability.
Yeah, slip
Liquor
and
liability
falls,
is a whole
everything.
separate
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah, slip and falls and anything else that happens, even if somebody's eating something there, a cookie, and it might have even been something they brought, but they choked on your property, they're going to sue you for it, and the church will not back you on that. If they slip at the church there, yeah, it's the church's property, they're probably going to sue the church, but they're also going to sue you because you hosted the event there. And it doesn't matter. It can even be just a prayer meeting that you guys have. And if somebody falls out of a chair, they're going to be suing you. You need to make sure you're covered under your liability for your insurance. The church does not cover the nights on that,
Okay,
even though
gentlemen,
the priest says it's okay.
yeah, gentlemen, if we could, we're 5 minutes over time. I think this is probably, Mike, this is probably our next topic. And you and I will
Yeah.
get together. We'll
Sorry.
see if we can get somebody from Lockton Affinity to get on this with us, so we can discuss that. I think that would be a terrific training session.
Okay.
And so we can get some better information and take it from there. And Scott, we can, if we've got some additional questions right now, I'm going to put my phone number into the chat. You can give me a holler, and we can get that taken care of for you. Okay. So Mike, let's go ahead and get this wrapped up.
Okay. Yes, Scott, fearless leader. There is one thing though I want to say about that insurance. It just happened to my assembly this week. We voted on to purchase it. So your assemblies also need that insurance. It's not, it's not a blanket coverage, but we have an excellent insurance man in our group who can explain to us the details, and we go with him. We have the faith in him to, make sure we're covered. So there will always be something that you're not covered for because of some lawyer, but I'm sorry, Marty. But it's it's something you really have to look into and take care of. And we will do that probably on our next session so that we can get that taken care of for you. I want to thank everybody for showing up today. I'd like to end with a prayer. I'm sure Walt started with one. And we got, let's do an Our Father, a Hail Mary, and a Glory Be. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be
Thy will
done
be done.
on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. And glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and as now is, ever forward. Amen. Thank you, gentlemen. It's been a great morning here. Looking forward to putting it together again. Okay, thank you.